Yo, welcome to the Jungle Podcast. With your host Shabana. Um, this episode 2 of the podcast, and first and foremost, let me start off this episode by saying congratulations to class of 2018. You graduating from either high school, college. Congratulations, man. It's not easy out there getting that degree or that diploma. I'm still in that process. I graduated 2019, get that degree. But congrats to all my graduates. It's not easy out here. Niggas like to really judge you because you in school, but they don't know the stress that you gotta deal with. I feel like when you go to college, you gotta deal with more stress than somebody that's struggling, because it's like you really want to achieve something, and it's a lot of obstacles and barriers you gotta cross and go through to get them. So congrats to all my graduates out there, especially Lincoln University, LU. LU, everybody from Lincoln, man, congrats to y'all. 2018, y'all did y'all thing, and respects, man. We gotta really start respecting people out here that's achieving and doing what they supposed to do. Why hate? You feel me? Just feel happy for them and be like, congrats to them. It's not easy out here, like I said, but got that out the way. So let me talk about what we about to talk about today. Basically, today's topic is about dreadlocks, and basically I'm trying to get this misconception of dreadlocks. A lot of people see dreadheads, or first off, we gonna get into why it's not good to call them dreadlocks or dreadheads or none of that with the word dread. But I just want to say, a lot of people get that, like, when they see dreadhead people with locks, they look at them a certain way, because society has taught us that dreadlocks and having long hair or such things in that nature, it's not normal. You feel me? Like, in society, when something is out of place or something is not regular, something that's not normal to the consensus or to the regular people, to the masses rather, it's not, if somebody is different, they look different, just because they're not used to what society is used to, having the short cut hair with the waves and all that, and I have dreads, I have locks, I got locks, so I could speak from experience, going to gas stations or specific stores, and people looking at you like you a killer or you up to no good, or they just give you that negative vibe, and it's like, why give me a negative vibe? I'm living, my hair, the reason why I got locks personally is because, I have this concept, it's like, as my mind grows in life, my hair grows too. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like every year I grow as a person, my hair grows too. So if I look back in the past, like 2 years ago, and I'm like, oh wow, look at me then. My hair was shorter, and I ain't know as much as I know now. I could basically judge how much I've grown by my dreads. Like, the longer my dreads grow, it represents how much I've grown as a person and how much my mind has gotten better and sharper and wiser. But that's just me. That's me. That's not what everybody does. That's just me. So, I want to get into society. Okay, so it's 3 topics I want to do. I'm gonna 3 bases of my topic I'm gonna talk about today. So we're gonna talk about different mythologies: Greek mythology of dreadlocks and African mythologies of dreadlocks. And what that is basically trying to separate the 2 conceptions of dreadlocks. You see, it's in society today, sociologists, a lot of their theories come from Greek mythology, and it's like they like to, it's a lot of things that we don't know that go on in society. That's just, we judge by what we see and based upon just different things. So I want to go over the difference with the Greek mythology of dreadlocks and the African mythology of dreadlocks, because they're 2 different things and they're 2 different concepts. And that's more to explain to people that have a concept of dreadlocks, to let them see both sides and both concepts of why people get locks. And another thing I'm gonna touch on after I'm done with that is why people with locks don't get hired. So like I said, I'm gonna start off with describing to you the Greek mythology of dreadlocks. Okay, so for the Greek mythology of dreadlocks, locks have always been frowned upon in Greek mythology, and like I said, sociologists like to use theories of Greek mythology. So that's basically saying if Greek mythology have a negative intake on dreadlocks, then of course society is going to take, or sociologists is going to have a negative input on dreadlocks because most of their theories come from Greek mythology. So the reason why in Greek mythology dreadlocks are negative, it all starts from Medusa. Now, if you don't know Medusa, if you've seen Versace, basically that the symbol of Versace is Medusa. Medusa, she was a Gorgon, and she lived upon the Greek mythology, and she has a bad reputation for Greek mythology because she was killing people, and she was really, she was a monster. And she wasn't always a monster, and that's what we got to get into today about Medusa and knowing about Medusa, because in order to know about Greek mythology on dreadlocks, you have to know about Medusa, because she was one of the first people in that Greek mythology to have dreadlocks. So we're going to get to the whole concept of Greek mythology. I'm going to break it down. So Medusa, she was, like I said, a Gorgon, and she wasn't always a monster that a lot of people know. If you don't know about Greek mythology, it's alright, it's cool. Like, I'm gonna break it down for you so you can get a better description of it all, a better intake of it all. Alright, so Medusa, she was a priest in Athena's temple. She was beautiful. She was known for her beauty. She had long hair. She was wonderful. She was a beautiful human being, as to what Greek mythology tells us. So, she was a goddess. She wasn't a goddess. She was a priest in Athena's temple. And if you don't know who Athena is a goddess of wisdom and military victory. She's a daughter of Zeus. Zeus to the Greek mythology is like the god of all gods. And Medusa was beautiful to the point where people were going to her Athena's temple. Because mind you, Medusa was a priest at Athena's temple. People were going to Athena's temple to admire her beauty. Basically look at her beauty and just like, wow, you're beautiful, And if you know about priests back then as a priest, you had to stay like loyal, and you had to stay pure. Pure meaning like they had to be virgins, because they're priests, and they have to show their loyalty to the gods, and basically having nobody, have no sexual relationships with anybody, basically just staying pure and becoming virgins, just staying virgins. So Medusa, she was a priest, of course, and Athena was really getting jealous of the fact that a lot of people were thinking she was beautiful and were only going to the temple just to admire her beauty. So Athena was getting a little jealous, hating the thing. We all know that one hating ass friend that gets mad because, you getting the attention from my fellas. If you go smack at one bad junk, and it's always that one ugly friend that got to be the spokesperson. Like, she got to be the cock blocker. Like, she don't want to say nothing to you. Woo, 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 all that. You feel me? We all know that. And we know, with you females, we know some of y'all tactics. Y'all want to chill with the ugly friends so your beauty can stand out more in public when y'all amongst each other and y'all in public. You want to stand out. And it's all right. It's cool. Everybody got they way of finessing and getting what they want to get, So I can't be mad at it. Can't be mad at it. So back to the whole Greek mythology. So Athena was hating on Medusa that she was getting all the attention. So Poseidon, who's a god of sea, he basically, let me talk in our lingo. I'm gonna say it in a way that we can understand. So Poseidon basically went to go smack at Medusa, and if you not from the DMV area, going smack, like he tried to go holler at her, try to spit some game, he tried to go talk to her. And Medusa was a priest, so she couldn't do nothing. She kept the cloning him. It's like, you know, she doesn't want him, you know, she has to stay a virgin. So Poseidon, being the god, you know, he wasn't feeling that. You know, he kept going smack or kept going at her. She denied him many times. So after a while, Poseidon got tired of Medusa not, you know, faking on him, basically. So he basically tried to rape. He raped her, and before he tried to rape her, Medusa tried to run to Athena's temple, you know, to try to make sure Athena could protect her because she's one of her priests. But Athena was nowhere to be found. And it's known that Athena ain't show up because she was jealous of Medusa's beauty. So, you know, she didn't show up. So after Poseidon raped Medusa, he left. And all of a sudden Athena pulled up. She pulled up and was mad that Medusa got raped and that she's not a virgin anymore. And she got raped in her temple. And that's some hating that shit, man. How you gonna get mad that she got raped and you didn't protect her? She got raped, and it's sad, you know, that's a beauty like that just getting raped. So basically, what happened was Athena cursed Medusa, and she cursed her because of that, because she didn't abide by what she was supposed to do, be pure and all that, which doesn't make sense. Like, you're the hating ass friend, you're mad, so you just, you know. So it just goes to show that higher authority could really turn on you, you know, like, it's fucked up, you know. But this is all about the Greek mythology. So basically, when Athena cursed Medusa, she changed. And mind you, she had just gotten raped, and then she got cursed, so she changed into a monster. You know, she wasn't taking care of her hair, so they ended up getting locked. So she ended up having dreadlocks. She was one of the first people to have dreadlocks. She became a monster. She was like, basically, she was killing people too. She was killing a lot of heroes at the time. You know, she had this thing where if she looked at you, she could turn your face into stone. She could turn your whole body into stone. So she was causing a lot of havoc because of her, what she went through. You know, she got raped and then she got cursed. And this goes to what I was saying earlier about the word dreadlocks. Dreadlocks comes from, you know, the word dread and dreadlocks comes from, you know, dread. Dread means being dreadful. So it's like basically being dreadful. It's like saddening, like you're ashamed, like you're sad. So they called it dreadlocks because at the time Medusa was the first person they saw with locks. So after she got, and the only reason she had locks was because after she got raped. So they was just like, okay, like she's a dreadful person. So and she has hair that we don't know. So we're just gonna call them dreadlocks. So that's why a lot of people get offended when you call dreadlocks locks, because it's like you're kind of trying to disrespect what locks mean and the meaning. And we're gonna get to the African mythology in a little bit, but long story short about Medusa, she was killing people and she just ended up having a bad name to herself after what happened to her after being raped. And long story short, she ended up getting killed by Zeus's son, and he cut off her head, and she ended up dying. And another funny story is Pegasus. You know, she was pregnant with Pegasus because when Poseidon raped her, you know, he shot her club up, you know, like Charlemagne would say. So, yeah, he shot her club up, and, you know, she was pregnant, and Pegasus came out as a bird. You know, Pegasus was like the horse with the wings, I believe. I'm not 100% on that. You know, I ain't researched Pegasus, but that's what Pegasus was. So, because of what Medusa was doing, killing innocent people, and she had dreadlocks, or she had locks, and, you know, they didn't know what that was, but they could only put the reputation of locks to Medusa. And because Medusa had a bad reputation in Greek mythology, they just assumed that locks were a bad thing. You know, they were bad. Like, people who had locks, they were descendants of Medusa. Like, they represented Medusa. You know, oh, you're with Medusa. So in Greek mythology, locks were frowned upon. Like, they weren't they weren't the look that you would have to get. And like I said in the beginning, sociologists take a lot of their theories and stuff from Greek mythology. So they're gonna automatically have that in society, that locks are bad and locks is a negative thing. And mind you, we could take it a step further and say, the only people that could get locks or that do get locks, majority of people who have locks are black. And, we already know what it is with that, black people and the whites and that whole thing. So, that's where a lot of the negativity from locks come from, and of course, they see people with locks, they get scared, it doesn't fit society norms, so it is what it is with that. So now I'm trying to explain to you guys the African mythology, because the African mythology is more of it's completely opposite from the Greek mythology with what dreadlocks represent, or locks. I keep saying dreadlocks, and I apologize if I'm offending anybody saying dreadlocks. They're locks. There's nothing dreadful about having locks, You're free, you do what you do. And a lot of times people don't understand that people get locks because they just don't feel like some point in their life coming up, they just didn't feel a part of society. Like, they didn't want to have the regular short hair look. Nah, they wanted to have something that they feel made them happy. They didn't want to fit through society norms. And it's known, like, if you cut your locks, I'm a type of guy, like, I'm a big supporter of locks because you're free. You don't have to fit through any type of standards. You do what you want to do. I feel like when you have locks, you're just showing that you're free. And a lot of times people, they don't want to see you free. And they, being society and people that run society, they don't want to see you free. They look at it and see that you as something different. And we're going to get into the jobs and all that, why jobs don't hire dreadheads or whatnot, or locks, people with locks. But let me explain to you the African mythology of locks. So the African mythology of locks is a little different. People with locks in the African mythology are known to represent holiness. If you could look in the Bible, Leviticus 21:5, it says that they shall not make baldness upon their head, neither shall they shave off the corners of their beards, nor make any cuttings in their flesh. That's one of the verses that, the Rastafarian, which is a religion, Rastafarians believe that's why they don't cut their hair, because God doesn't feel like you should cut your hair. You can look back in the Bible with Samson having the hair he had locks. I believe he had locks. I wasn't there, but doing research and reading everything, he had locks. King Solomon, he had locks. Even to take it a step further, if you look in the Bible, they said Jesus' hair is made of wool. If you look today, the only hair that's made of wool are locks. So people get the misconception of locks, but a lot of people get it because they're holy and they're free, and looking back at Old Testaments and the Bible times, that's what a lot of people had to represent holiness. Another verse that we could look up is Numbers 6:5, which says, all days of vow of his separation, there shall be no razor come upon his head until the days be fulfilled, in which he separates himself unto the Lord. He shall be holy, and shall let the locks of his hair of his head grow. So that's another verse that, the African mythology, they look on like, okay, so I'm going to grow my hair out. And basically, the day you cut your hair, you're separating yourself from God. That's what the African mythology, they believe in, And I want to take it to another thing with the Rastafarian religion. That's a religion. People, you see some people with locks, like, you may never know. They have it because some, not all, but some have it because of religious purposes. So, it bothers me, me being a person of locks, have locks. It bothers me when I go for a job interview. And it doesn't happen for all job interviews. But obviously, when you have locks, you're limited to the type of jobs you can get. Meaning, like, if you look at corporate America, you don't see somebody with locks. or it's rare to see somebody in locks in like offices and things of that nature or things like that. It's rare because a lot of jobs, they say that locks aren't professional, and it's like I said, that all has to go back to that whole Greek mythology, sociology teachings. They deem them, they say they're unprofessional. My thing is, you're judging somebody because they have locks. What if that person qualifies for the jobs and has a better skill set than the man that you want to hire because he looks professional? What if he's a better worker? You know, they're judging somebody because of his locks and not what's inside of him, the knowledge he has. You know, either way, he's a person. He's a person. So it really bothers me for certain jobs that say that want to look down upon locks, and just based upon locks, just because you have locks, they don't want to hire you. So it's real funny to me, but you know, it is what it is with that. And another thing, I want to go back to the Rastafarian religion. In America today, in the Constitution, is freedom of religion, correct? So my thing is, if it's freedom of religion and somebody has locks because of religion, you would have to deem that out and be like, okay, he has locks for religious purposes, so I can't not hire him because he has it. But a lot of times, people do not want to, they X out the Rastafarian religion. Like, they don't really put that into consideration. You know, like, if you're Christian and you have certain rules, okay. If you're Catholic, okay. What else? Jehovah's Witness, okay. But when it comes to Rastafarians, they don't always get the proper treatment that they should get. And it goes to race, I would say, because a lot of Rastafarians are African Americans, and the Rastafarian movement comes from the movement to go back to Africa. So I just think that society has the whole dreadlock perception messed up. A lot of times people be like, oh my God, cut your hair, you look this, you look that. But I mean, just because somebody has locks, you know, if they have locks, let them be. Let them feel free. Sometimes people don't feel better about themselves when they have locks. You know, they feel more free. They feel more like themselves. You know, if they have short hair, they you know, as a kid, for me, I always wanted to have long hair, but I had my father was kind of strict. He didn't believe in locks. He was more so believed in the Greek mythology, you know, like, dreadlocks, you know, you look like a gang member or a thug or this and that. And it's funny how the media could turn something like locks that's supposed to represent holiness into like, okay, if he have locks, he's a thug, or he smokes weed, or he doesn't do anything, or he's a militant, he's this or that. And it's like, I don't know what happened, but in society today, like, locks just, when somebody sees you and you have locks and they don't know you, they're automatically gonna think that you're a criminal, or they're gonna have a negative thought about you before they even get to know you. So, you know, I just think that we should try to get more educated on the origins of locks before we try to judge. I feel like we all as a whole need to get a deeper understanding of what locks represent and what it means, because a lot of times it's always the negative perception. And, you know, people and it gets me mad because it makes people who love having locks want to cut their lock, because they're tired of getting the looks, and they're tired of not getting jobs because of their locks. So they end up cutting their locks and going back to society. Me personally, I'm not cutting my locks for nothing. You know, I feel free. I enjoy having my locks. I love them. You know, like I told you, the reason why I have locks is, you know, the more I grow as a person, my dreads will let me know, like, okay, I've grown. 2 years back, my hair was short. My locks were short. Now they're longer. during that time that my locks have gotten longer, my wisdom and me as a person, I've changed. So I'm never gonna cut my locks. You gonna bury me 6 feet under with them locks. I'm not. So, that's just what I feel, about locks. This episode was more so to educate the ones that don't know much about locks, educate you guys to know more about locks and the origins of locks. And if you got any more things to say, you don't hesitate to comment below and we can have a discussion. I'm always open for discussions. Like I said in my first episode, I'm always open for discussions, so I appreciate you guys for taking the time to listen to me, and holla at your boy.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.